Hello and welcome back to Flight Sim World. In this video we're not going to be looking at a community update because there is none since the last one and between this video that's come out. Instead I'm going to be talking about what I've learned about Flight Sim World over the weekend, and this is something that I learnt when I was off at RAF Cosford for Flight Sim Con. So I learnt quite a few things about Flight Sim World. I'm going to share that with you, so you can call this a feature preview perhaps. Before I do continue on that, do remember that if you like these videos, please do like them, and if you dislike them, also let me know, because that's kind of important right now, and comments and all that's really important. Patreon support is also important, and if you haven't seen my Flight Sim World tutorials, of which episode or lesson number 4 is coming out tomorrow, do check those out. I think you guys will definitely enjoy them. That being said, I am in well, I'm in the middle of Tanzania at the moment, near Mount Kilimanjaro, and it's quite interesting because the cloud level for some reason seems to be, well, right in front of me, which is a little bit odd. That's not something I was expecting. So, well, there's the mountain, so we're going to fly up that way and see what we can find. And you can see that I've got a different livery of aircraft right here, so you can see that. In fact, something like that might even be the thumbnail for the video. Who knows? I might use that as a thumbnail. Let's have a look. Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, let's switch on all our lights. There we go. And one thing I'm going to mention is that I'm trying to get a couple of things working with Flight Sim World. One of them being a GoFlight setup, a GoFlight instrument panel, which I'm going to say is absolutely fantastic. I haven't even had a chance to use it yet, but the construction of it is absolutely incredible. Right, let's get ourselves underway. Let's get ourselves flying. Let's see if I can remember how to fly. It's only been a week. There we go. Positive rate, gear up. Flaps in. And I think we'll get ourselves banking over towards the mountain right now. So, previews, things to talk about. Well, what I'm going to do really is I'm going to talk about what I heard from them, when I spoke to the developers or spoke to the PR, what I saw from the conference that they had over there, and this is something that they're going to cover in a stream as well. So do check out their stream if you want this in more information. But pretty much what I had. Let's get ourselves trimmed for a climb here. That's what I want to do. Get ourselves a nice climb. There we go. That seems all right. Yeah, it seems quite all right. So yeah, what I heard. Well, the first thing that's really, really important to me is dynamic lighting. Now, dynamic lighting was absolutely brilliant for me because and this was completely said by I think he was the lead developer, it was completely said by himself that the dynamic lighting, the night lighting in Flight Sim World is a little bit rubbish. Now, the great part is that they're actually working on it. The work has begun on dynamic lighting, so it's not like this is something that's 1 year down the line or 2 years down the line or anything like that. It could be a matter of, you know, less than a month away. It could be a matter of maybe a couple of months away. But the point is that the lighting, it's there, it's coming, which means that we're going to be able to have nights, we're going to be able to have night landings, night takeoffs. It's going to look really, really good. We're going to be able to see the lights a lot more clearly, a lot better. It's just, everything's going to be a lot better, and that's something that I have been personally asking for a long time, so I'm glad to see that is being done. You know, we're pretty high up where I'm going to actually drop this mixture. actually going to do that as well. There we go. That should make it easier to fly. So yes, so dynamic night lighting was one of the big things that was mentioned that I was really, really happy about. A lot of people have been asking on my channel as well about why do they have DLCs? Why is there Big Bear Airport? Why is there the Just Flight DLC, the Piper Arrow 3? Why is there the Epic Missions Pack? You know, if this is an incomplete sim, why are they doing that? Well, that was a question that was answered as well. And to be honest, I think that the answer was I think it was a fairly good answer. Maybe not the greatest answer or the most you know, the most clearest of answers, but I think it was a fairly good answer in itself, because obviously they can't reveal everything. But the one thing that they were revealing about this was that these developers are, for example, Just Flight and Turbulent Designs have been working with Flight Sim World, and the way they're working with Flight Sim World is they're working with them to develop the SDK in the correct fashion. So the SDK is, for example, for those people who have used flight sims before, it's the development kit, Sim Connect and stuff like that, which enables third-party developers to either have hardware or software injected into the system correctly, and therefore allowing better development of the different, you know, various different tools. So that's what the SDK is, and that allows them to have. It gives you a very full simulator experience. This is also something that we've used heavily in flight simulator. If you ever played FSX or X-Plane, very, very heavily on their you know, FSU IPC, all of those things, the Cytec controllers, which are now working in Flight Sim World, the GoFlight ones, like the one that I just talked about, the GoFlight one, all of these use SDKs to connect with the system, and they use this kit to understand the interfaces and to correctly interface with that system. Therefore you can use that software or hardware in the simulator. So this is something a lot of people have been asking for a little bit of time. You know, where's the SDK? A lot of people have been saying, why don't we have an SDK? Well, the question, or the answer to that question is, the SDK is on its way. It's not too far out, and the idea is what's going to be included in said SDK is going to be what these developers have been asking for. So Just Flight have been working with them and saying, look, we need this, we need this, we need this. Turbulent Designs have been working and going, we need this, we need this, we need this. Logitech have been working, Cytec, they've been working and saying, we need this, this, and this. Different developers have been working with them saying, we need these things to be in the simulator, we need these things in the SDK. So the SDK is being developed around them, which is why it's taking a bit of time. Now, that being said, I wish they could have had a standard SDK out already, so something that, you know, that we have in FSX Steam Edition, which Dovetail Games had, or Microsoft's Flight Simulator 10, X-Plane, you know, they all have SDKs. So I wish that we could have had an SDK already out there, but unfortunately we don't. So you know, there's nothing that we can really do about that apart from wait. Now this is interesting. That down there looks remarkably like Britain. Little Britain in the middle of Africa. That looks remarkably like Britain. I am fairly certain Africa does not look like that. I mean, I know it has the green areas, but I am fairly certain it does not look like that. It looks more like that than that. That's the UK right there. Anyway, we're not here to criticize Flight Sim World, the scenery at the moment, although that is going to bring me quite nicely to the next part that I'm going to talk about. But I do want to finish a little bit on the SDK. You know what? I'm going to climb. So more about the SDK. Obviously, I'm hoping to see the SDK within a month, and I'm hoping to see developers adding stuff on very, very soon, because naturally I want to see this SDK. I want to get different controllers working, and I want to see all these hardware developers now migrating to FSW, because there is a lot of promise in FSW. So that needs to be done, and it is on the way, and I'm glad that that's on the way, and I'm glad they talked about that, and I'm also glad that they're working with developers to work on this SDK and indeed the core sim. Now, what I mean by the core sim is, for example, we had to have certain types of scenery added in. We had to have in FSX, for example, I'll use as the de facto, because you know this is sort of following on from there. We had certain types of, you know, we had to add a Rex for the clouds, so that's Real Environment Extreme. We had to have AccuFeel in for certain things. We had to have what was that other one called? I can't remember it now. It was a weather engine. It was a really good weather engine as well. Yeah, I can't remember the name of that weather engine at the moment. Really good weather engine. I bet you whoever's listening to this probably knows the one I'm talking about. But normally you combined it with Rex. So you had the Rex textures, and then you had this weather engine. All of that was in. You know, we had to add these things in. What Flight Sim World want to do is they're trying to sort of not have to add these in with different various publishers, but trying to have that developed into the core sim, which I think is a good thing. I think that's a good thing, and I am looking forward to seeing these things in the core sim. Of course, we've got True Sky at the moment, so moving on to scenery and True Sky. True Sky is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the bottom of the cloud layer for them. There is more coming. Dynamic weather. I know a lot of people in my comment section have been asking about dynamic weather. Dynamic weather is coming. Real world weather. Someone I've seen, well, not one, I've seen probably about 10 or 15 comments talking about real world weather. Well, real world weather is also on its way and in development. So there is that. You don't have to worry about those things coming, being brought in just yet. Let me just get these on, because we are going to need this. Definitely going to need all that. So yes, we do have things like that coming in. Dynamic weather and real world weather. Two things that I am really looking forward to. Especially real world weather, and I know a lot of people are also looking forward to real world weather. So I'm happy to say that there is this coming forward. I don't know when, but Flight Sim World, I've been told on reliable sources, seem to work within a 6-month window. So when they announce something, it's normally about 6 months, 3 to 6 months. So these things were announced. I'm assuming. Okay, I'm going to give them a little bit more time. I'm assuming all these features will be there within a year. And speaking of that, more features. Improvements to airports are coming. Improvements to the actual scenery, the ground, the terrain is also coming. So there's that to look forward to, which I am really, really happy about. I have always said that this needs to be improved somewhat. And I'm assuming with that, we're also looking at the trees. I mentioned in the Big Bear review, if you haven't seen that, do check that out. I mentioned in the Big Bear review that the ridgeline of a hill, I could see trees. This is San Bernardino, not over here in Kilimanjaro. San Bernardino, there was a tree line that was very, very dark. Some people have mentioned that this is to do with True Sky. I believe you're correct. Some people have also mentioned that this is to do with SSAO. You're also correct. The True Sky engine has not been implemented across everything yet. For example, it's not implemented across, sorry, not True Sky. It's related to True Sky, but it's the PBR2 engine. So that's the engine that, if I go outside the aircraft, allows us to have a very realistic looking aircraft, as you can see. That's a fairly realistic looking aircraft. Now, because of that, the engine, it's not been on everything. So you can see that that does look vastly different to the ground. Now, the ground, by all means, doesn't look unrealistic. However, it doesn't look as realistic as this aircraft does. This aircraft looks very, very well done. So that's what they mean by Let's go back inside. So that's one of the things that was addressed, and that may be what's been causing that ridgeline issue. So that's going to be addressed, that's going to be fixed. I'm really happy to hear that, which means that they're listening to the community and they're working forward, and they're not just, as they said, they don't just want to hold the simulator where it is. They want to make it the best simulator. And I know a lot of people may have also been saying, oh well, this is going to turn into a game. It's not. I've been assured of that, and everyone who was in that conference and everyone who talked to the developers, talked to the PR, have been assured this is not going to be turning into a game. It is going to remain out and out a simulator and get better and better with time. So again, very happy to hear about that. I'm going to bring that prop down. Hopefully that's going to increase our rate of climb slightly. So really happy to hear about that. I'm happy to hear that they're going to be improving all that scenery, all the ground textures, the airports. I mentioned in one of my flight sim tutorials, I mentioned that East Midlands Airport is supposed to have fences all the way around. There's no fences. The airports don't feel alive, and that's something that they need to work on, and that's something they've addressed and said that they're going to, they're going to have to fix. The airports need to be alive. The ground, everything needs to be alive around them, including they're looking at doing a whole new ATC engine. So that is something I'm really, really looking forward to. Apparently, it's been dubbed by the lead developer. At least I think he's the lead developer. It's been dubbed the True Sky of ATC. So, having a look at how good True Sky is, I am really, really quite hopeful about this new ATC system, and I'm hopeful that it's going to be really, really quite good. Cabin altitude. I don't know what's going on there, but there we go. So that's another one that's coming up. What else is there? There was a lot that was mentioned. New aircraft, more types of aircraft. They're fairly happy with the GA market that they're in at the moment, but they are going to, at some point, expand to airliners. So we do have that to look forward to, or jetliners. There are new aircraft coming in. There's a DLC coming up. I don't know whether I can mention it or not, so I'm not going to. But it's going to be a really good DLC. It's very, very well developed. I've seen a lot of it in work. I've seen the progress, and I will definitely be reviewing it on this channel. So make sure you stay tuned for that DLC. I don't think it's too far off actually at the moment. And yeah, it's a good one. And I'll give you one. I'll tell you one thing. It's not a GA aircraft. So that's something to look forward to. Definitely something to look forward to. Something I'm happy to report, and I'm happy to say that it's there. What else have they said that they need to improve upon? Avionics in the current systems, in the current aeroplanes, they haven't forgotten about them. They are going to be working on them more and more. And what else? Oh yeah, one that's been bugging us all to end this video: performance and optimization. A lot of us have been bugged about the performance of this flight sim, saying it's been a little bit wonky at times. It's not the best. It's been stuttering, it's been juddering. Even right now you can see it's stuttering and juddering around for me a bit, when it shouldn't be, and it wasn't before. So I think again that's related to the clouds. I'm almost 100% certain that's related to that stable cloud motion. So what are they going to do about this? Well, they are working on optimizations. My mixture is so low right now. They are working on optimizations. They are working on improving the actual frame rate. They're not happy with where it is at the moment, and they feel that there should be a lot more going on. So I'm happy that they're going to be doing that. And that, for me, that dynamic lighting and the ground textures, for me, in my personal opinion, that should be their priority. But they are prioritizing as they see fit. I'm sure they've got their reasons for whatever they're going to prioritize. I think that they're going to get optimizations in, and I think that's going to be really, really important to get those optimizations in. And I look forward to being able to fly with those optimizations, because that means that we're going to get better scenery, better textures, better loading, less frame lag, you know, less judders, micro stutters that have plagued the ESP engine for God knows how many years. We've had, you know, micro stutters always present on the ESP engine. If they've managed to get rid of that or solve that, that's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to the SimConnect working, so we don't have to play around with things to get head tracking working and any of that kind of stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what more DLC comes out. But I'm more so looking forward to seeing how this simulator develops as a simulator and how much more realistic they can get it, because after listening to them and speaking to them, they are definitely in this for the long run. Their fishing simulator and their train simulator, I believe the head of Dovetail Games, the actual head of Dovetail Games, likes 3 things. He likes trains, he likes fishing, and he likes flying. And those are the 3 games that they're really concentrating on at the moment. So, my opinion on the DLCs, yes, still maybe not the best thing in the world, but I can understand why they've had DLC out in early access. It's actually to help them out with the developers, so from a development standpoint. That includes the Epic Approaches one that was built by a different team, an internal team, but a different team. So nobody was sort of pulled off doing optimization work or anything to develop those missions. It was actually the mission team that may have developed the missions earlier that were just like, well, let's see what we can do. And they've been like, right, we need to do this, we need to do this. We want to simulate a bird strike, so we need this in the engine. So now the core engine has this capability of smashing a window or something, and it just needs to be unlocked and given to us once they're happy with it, and say, well, here you go, now you can do this, now you can do that, you can have fires, you can have you know, windows smashing out, you can have this, that and the other, you can have maybe they'll even have it to a stage where you have a propeller actually fall off. You never know, they might have something like that. So I am really looking forward to it. I'm really happy that I went to this place, RAF Cosford. I met a lot of nice people, not just Flight Sim World. I met a lot of nice people. One of the nicest will probably Go Flight, and another guy from Remex Software called Chris Cheetham, who's developing a new flight simulator, which once I get to get more info about that and maybe even a copy of it, I will be able to show you guys. It actually looks really, really good. Like, really, really good. I am actually quite excited about that flight simulator in particular. But for Flight Sim World, in the meantime, we're looking forward to a lot of updates coming up very, very soon over the next, you know, couple of months. As each one comes up, of course, naturally, I will be showing it on my channel. So do tune in for all of that. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Flight Sim World. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think of the features that I've just described. And let me know if there are other features that you might want. So you think, you know, I want this, or I want that, or I need this and I need that. And maybe they've talked about it and I've missed it, and in which case I will mention it in the comments box saying, yes, they did mention this as well. Maybe they didn't talk about it, and then I can, perhaps if I can pass it on to them and say, look, people, my subscribers are asking for this, my viewers are asking for this and this and this. So, you know, is there any word or any information that you can give me on the following features? Also, do support me on Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below. I would massively appreciate your support as we get a lovely 2,000 foot per minute descent at a really high speed. I would really appreciate your support. It would help me out a huge amount. And do check out my Flight Sim World, sorry, not Flight Sim World, just Flight Simulator advanced tutorials, the ground up, starting from absolute basics and moving on into all the crazy types of flying and all the proper flying and the procedures as best as we can in a simulation environment. So do check that out. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you guys in the next episode of Flight Sim World, where maybe I'll be looking at Community Update 14.